Hi Sobis and aspiring Sobis, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Doyen, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be teaching you how to achieve this round neck t-shirt using the piping method. So you can see that we have a design on the sleeve of this round neck, so I'm going to be teaching you how to achieve that. So in order to achieve this round neck design, I'm going to be using these basic materials here. So the first thing I have here is this piping band, which is about 2 yards. Then I have this cotton fabric here, which is also about 1 trouser. This is a pure cotton fabric. Then for this particular round neck, I'm going to work with this standard measurement, which is small size. So we know for that, let's just get right into it. I'd already cut out the preferred length measurement that I want to work with. So the length on my measurement here is 27 inches. So I added 1 inch allowance to 27 inches, which serves as seam folding allowance. So what I have in total on my length measurement here is 28 inches, which is what you can see on your screen. So next, after that, I am going to measure my shoulder line. My shoulder line is 16 inches. So 16 inches divided by 2 is 8 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead to add ½ inch seam allowance to the 8 inches. So what I'm going to measure here will be 8.5. So I'm just going to mark that point here. Next, I'm going to measure my neckline measurement. So for my neckline width, I'm going to measure 2.5 inches. This is actually flexible. You can always increase yours to 3 inches if you want, if you're on a chubby side. Then for the neckline depth, I'm going to come down by 4 inches because the fabric I'm working with is not so stretchy. So I also want an ease around my neckline area. So once I have that done, I'm just going to go ahead to use my French curve to trace out a round shape around my neckline, just as you can see me illustrate in this video. So once I'm done marking out a point here, I'm going to come towards this shoulder line here, and I'm going to come down by 1 inch. Now I'm doing this because the shoulder line is not straight, so you will just want to create a slopey line around your shoulder line, just like I am doing. So I'm just going to connect this line towards the neckline, just as you can see me illustrate in this video. So once I'm done with that, this is what we have. So the next thing is to measure the armhole. So because I'm working with a small size, I'm just going to make use of 8 inches as my armhole measurement. There is an ideology of people using the shoulder measurement to determine the armhole measurement. If that works for you, then you can also do it because it's also applicable here. I hope you understand. So on this chest line area, I'm also going to measure my shoulder line, which is 8.5. That's including the allowance, and I'm going to build a straight line on my armhole, just as you can see. Now you want to come in a little from the center point of your armhole. So I'm just going to divide the 8 inches armhole measurements into 2. So what we have here is 4 inches. So I'm just going to come in from this midpoint by 0.5. Then I'm just going to mark my points here. So basically what I'm trying to do here is to create a curve for my armhole. So I'm just going to position my French curve ruler like this, making sure that it is hitting the center point, just as you can see. Then another way to determine how deep you want your armhole to be is to come out from this angle by 1 inch, just as you can see me illustrate here. Then from that 1 inch, you just want to position your French curve just the way I'm doing here, and you just want to mark this towards the shoulder line, just as you can see me do right here. So after I'm done measuring that, the next thing is to measure my body. So for my body measurement, I have 40 inches here. Dividing that into 4 will give me 10 inches. So I'm just going to add ½ inch allowance to the 10 inches. Then we have it here. I already did a basic cutting, which is why we have a little allowance to cut out from. So once I'm done connecting these dots together, to be honest, this thing I'm doing here is not necessary. I could have just left it because what we have left is just about 0.25 thereabout. So I should have just left it, but I'm just going to be connecting my lines together, just as you can see me do in this video. So once I'm done, the next thing to do here is to cut out what I have here. So next thing here is we're going to be cutting the back side of this t-shirt. So just because the back side is higher than the front, this is one major technique I love to work with. So what I do is I position my ruler on this back side and I make it slanted. So what I do is I come up by 1 inch away from the front bodies of my t-shirt or whatsoever I'm cutting, and then I mark my point. So the ruler you're seeing here is actually slanted. just like the front is slanted, we reduced it by 1 inch, 1 inch here. So I'm just coming up from my front bodice by 1 inch to make this back shoulder line higher than the front, just as you can see. Then for the neckline, I'm going to maintain the same 2.5 inches as width, while I'm going to come down by 1 inch, which is what you can see. So I'm just going to use my French curve to make a curve around this neckline at the back. So once I have this part marked, I'm just going to go ahead to cut out everything. So I'm going to be cutting the armhole and the body area equally with the front bodies. Next is the sleeve, and to determine your sleeve circumference, just add 1 inch to your armhole measurement. So what I have here is measured as 9 inches. Now for the length of my sleeve, I have my sleeve measured as 10 inches. So I'm just going to add 1.5 to that 10 inches. So what I'm going to measure here will be 11.5, which is what you can see me mark on your screen. So once I have this 11.5 marked, I'm just going to rule a line across, just as you can see. Then I'm going to come down by 3.5 away from the top of my sleeve, then also come down by 1.5 away from the 3.5 I measured. So my round sleeve measurement is going to be measured on this second line. So on my measurements here, I have my round sleeve as 15 inches. So 15 inches divided by 2 is 7.5. Then I'm going to add half inch seam allowance. So what I have measured here is 8 inches. So I'm just going to mark that point here. Then my down sleeve on my measurement book is 12 inches. Dividing that into 2 is 6 inches. So I'm just going to add half inch allowance to that. Then I'm going to measure 6.5. So I'm just basically going to be connecting my down sleeve towards the first line we created. So what you want to do here is connect your down sleeve towards this second point, then towards the first point, just as you can see. Then I'm going to just use my French curve to mark a curve around my sleeve, the top side of my sleeve. So you can always mark your curve the way it's convenient for you. So once I'm done, I'm just going to cut out what I have here. Then I'm going to come to the center point of my sleeve to notch this point here. Then I'm going to open up because I positioned it on a double folding. So we have 2 pieces of this already. So for the design I'm going to be making on this sleeve, I'm going to come up from my down sleeve by 3 inches on the sides of my sleeve, just as you can see me illustrate in the video. So this is a margin for where the design is going to be starting from. So this is how I'm going to position it, and I'm going to make a straight stitch. So let me just mark the second sleeve as well. So from the down sleeve, I'm going to come up as well again by 3 inches, just as you can see on your screen. I'm coming up by 3 inches on both sides of my sleeve. So once I'm done with this, I'm just going to put this aside. Next, I'm going to cut out my neckline band. So I'm just going to cut out something random here. Then for the circumference, it's going to be a random measurement because I'm going to determine the actual circumference when I'm done sewing my t-shirt. So this is about 12 inches. Then for the height, I'm going to make it 2.5 inches. And I'm going to just mark that on different points here. So once I'm done, I'm just going to be cutting it out, just as you can see. So once I'm done with this, I'm just going to couple everything together.
Hello, I'm super excited to announce to you that online courses are now available. So if you are interested in learning more about streetwear, you want to know how to make t-shirts, joggers, hoodies, varsity jacket, tracksuits, sweatpants, cargo pants, and so many more, these courses are made for you. The courses are displayed on your screen. So if you are interested in registering for any of these courses, then you want to just click on the link underneath this video to register for these courses. And guys, guess what? These courses are well detailed. You're going to be learning how to identify fabrics, how to matchmake fabrics, size charts, measurements, and the like, depending on the course you are actually subscribing for. So you don't want to miss out on this opportunity. So kindly click on the link in my bio, kindly click on the link in the description to actually register for this class. Bye.
So I'm going to start by attaching my taping band to this marked line here. So remember that why we marked that line, we measured 3 inches, which is what I'm trying to confirm here. So what you just want to do is make a straight stitch on one side of this taping band. So you may want to just pin it at this point so that there is no form of alternation, at any point. So I'm just going to make a straight line, just as you can see me do here. So once I'm done with that line, I'm going to continue my stitch on this other line just to keep my taping band firm. Next, I'm going to position the second piping band on this line. So the difference in between the first piping band and the second piping band should be around about 0.5. So I'm just going to measure that just to be sure that I am on track. So once I have that done, then I'm just going to also pin down. So the essence of pinning is so that there is no form of alternation, so that you can at least maintain the same margin that we created. So once I have that secured, I'm just going to run my first stitch on one side, just like we did previously. So once I'm done with that, I'm just going to run the second stitch on the other line. So after sewing, this is what it looks like. So if you want your design to be more busier, you can just take up to 3 to 4 turns. So I'm just going to repeat the same thing on the other sleeve. So after sewing, this is what it looks like. So you just want to put this aside. So the next thing here is I'm going to place the front part of my t-shirt on the back side of my t-shirt. So basically what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to align the shoulder lines of my t-shirt. So I'm just going to be joining the shoulder lines together, just as you can see me do right here. So after sewing, this is what it looks like. So I'm just going to turn this over to the right face, just as you can see. So I'm just going to create a center point around my armhole, and I'm going to notch the center point of my shoulder. Remember that the back side of our round neck t-shirt was higher than the front, so that's why you have to create another center point, and which is what I'm trying to do here. So once I have that done, I'm going to spread out my armhole area like this, and I'm going to position the notch part of my sleeve on the notch part of my armhole, and I'm going to pin this down. So basically I'm going to be extending my sleeve around my armhole, then I'm going to make a stitch around it. So after sewing, this is what it looks like. So I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other sleeve. So next, after that, I'm going to connect my sleeves together like this, making sure that the armhole joining is connected together. Once I have that figured out, I'm going to just pin it down like this, and I'm going to make sure that the design part is also aligned together. So once I have that done, I'm just going to make a straight stitch from my sleeve down to my body area. So I'm just going to be repeating the same thing on the other side as well. So after that, this is what we have. So I'm just going to confirm my body measurement, and what we have here is 20 inches, which is exactly 40 inches. Next, I'm going to position my neckline like this, just as I've illustrated on your screen. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to measure the circumference of my neckline. So what I have here is 10 inches. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to deduct 2 inches from 10 inches. So what I have left is 8 inches. Now because my fabric is not so stretchy, I'm going to add ½ inch seam allowance to this 8 inches. So what I'm going to measure here will be 8.5 inches. So once I have that marked, I'm just going to cut out what I have. So I'm going to be making a straight stitch here, just as you can see me do right here. The fabric is not so stretchy, so you have to stretch well to properly align it around your neckline. So once I have that done, I'm going to fold my neckband like this, just as you can see. Then from the joining of my shoulder line to the back, I'm going to come out by 1 inch towards the back. Then I'm going to position the joining on this part, then I'm going to pin this down. So basically I'm going to be stretching my neckline around the circumference of my neckline, just to fit into what we have there. So at this point, you can as well pin the other side of your neckline and then make a stitch round. So while I am stitching, I'm just going to be stretching my neckline band to fit into the circumference of my neckline. So after sewing, this is what it looks like. So I'm just going to go ahead to trim whatever excess we have at the downside, then I make a fold on the downside, also on the sleeve area. So after sewing, this is what it looks like. So I'm gonna add to also tape my neckline, and then I'm just going to go ahead to add my customization. So here is the final look of what we just created. So if you watch this video to this point and you're yet to subscribe to my YouTube channel, this is with you kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel, like, comment and share on this particular video, and I will see you again in the next class. Bye.